John Giles is with us. Evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
That's been a really entertaining first week of the tournament.
Yeah, quite good. It was good today, as you say, with Belgium. Came back. They looked down and out before half-time. Nathan, Denmark were very, very good. But De Bruyne was very, very good in the second half. And as you said there, Hazard was good as well.
It is still very early stages, and we're just getting to know these teams and where exactly they are. And there's been a team like Italy emerge as a real force already. Belgium came into this as a lot of people's favourites to win it. The fact that they have De Bruyne back now and Eden Hazard at least fit, it seems, to play a part in games. How do you rate them on what you've seen from the first two matches?
Well, at the first half, Nathan, the first 45 minutes, they were terrible. You know, Denmark could have easily been 3 up by the end of the first half. But a dramatic change in the second half when De Bruyne did his stuff. He made the first goal, he scored the second one, and Hazard did well when he came in. So they were a totally different team in the second half. I think Denmark might have got a little bit tired. But in the early parts of the game, you would have thought, it looked like Denmark were going to kill them. So, I think the second half was more like the team that we expected Belgium to be. There's no doubt about that. And De Bruyne did make a big difference to them.
Yeah, I know at times you put him in your team of the season last week, but there have been times where maybe you've questioned his attitude and his ability to drive on his teammates when they're in a bit of bother. Did he answer some of those concerns this evening?
Well, he did today, and he has done on many occasions, Nathan. He's a hugely talented lad, but I just find him moody, and sometimes he doesn't be doing things in a professional way as far as his colleagues are concerned.
Yeah.
If I go back to little Kante at Chelsea, he's the same in every match. He's the same attitude, does the same thing for the team all the time. I think that De Bruyne doesn't do that now on certain days and certain matches. That's a criticism I have of him. But hugely talented, and certainly his talent today did swing the game for Belgium. There's no doubt about that.
Denmark aren't out of it yet, despite the fact they've lost their first 2 matches. 3 teams go through from 4 of the group, so if they win against Russia next time, depending on goal difference and other results, there's still a chance they could get through as a third place side, or maybe even a second place side, depending on what happens between Belgium and Finland. It's been such a tough few days for them after what happened. Christian Eriksen, I think everybody around the world was shocked by what they were watching. It's hard to know what exactly to say, except thank Christ for the miracles of modern medicine.
Oh, definitely. Like everybody else, I watched it, Nathan, and it looked like he was gone, and the medical people did a great job. And it's great to see that nowadays. If I go back to my own time, this was up to 1969, we didn't even have a doctor travelling with us, Nathan, for away matches.
With Ireland?
Home matches. Yeah. Now, we wouldn't be the only country that would be doing that, but and that was a big deal,
right?
Because we had a meeting with the FAI at that time, and I think it was Tony Dunn, the late Tony Dunn, brought it up that we don't have a doctor travelling with us. And that's the way it was. I mean, now I know Alan Board since he was a young fella, and he's head of the medical situation with the international team, and he's part of the European thing, which he was one of the instigating the medical situations that have improved and improved and improved. And if it hadn't been for those improvements, Nathan, this lad wouldn't have got through. Christian Eriksen wouldn't have got through the other day.
Yeah,
definitely not.
The news is still obviously filtering out day by day, and we hear today that he's had another medical procedure. Still don't know what it means in terms of his career, but the main thing is that he's still alive for his family. For the rest of the Danish players who reacted so well and so maturely at the time. And you look at Simon Kerr, their captain, how quickly he got over to Christian Eriksen, put him in the right position, did the right thing. Were those players let down then by UEFA by playing the game that evening?
I think UEFA came out of it very badly, Nathan. It was a disgrace what they did. They were still thinking about the tournament, and a player almost dying in it, and more or less forcing the Danish players to come out and play. I mean, how could you play properly, Nathan, having gone through what they went through and behaved brilliantly while Eriksen was getting the treatment that he did? I thought it was absolutely outrageous. What did the tournament matter at that particular stage? Now, why couldn't they give them a point each and call it a day? You know, instead of looking at what it might be, whether it was money situation or what the tournament. Who cared about the tournament at that particular time, as far as the Danish players were concerned? It was totally outrageous.
Yeah, even go play the game the next evening. They seemed they were given an option of play it then or play it midday the next day, which would fit in with where there was space for it to be shown on TV. As you say, this was the most exceptional of circumstances. Everybody, broadcasters, you name it, would have had to accept that if the game needed to take place the next day or day after, and that meant other matches were changed, well, so be it.
So be it. But it wouldn't have made any difference if they'd given a point each, Nathan. Really, you know. Okay, there were other countries might have complained. I don't think they would in the circumstances that we had. You know, call it a day and say, right, drop a point each and leave it at that. You know, it was outrageous. I mean, it certainly didn't do the Danish players in terms of the competition concerned, where they had to go and play on after a two-hour break, and one of their friends almost died. You know, that's not football. I mean, football doesn't mean anything when you're in that particular situation. It was dreadful.
Yeah, impossible for the players to get their heads right for the game.
Yeah.
We are a week into it now. We've seen everybody at least once. Who impressed you most so far?
Well, on the results, Nathan, as you know, it's very early days yet. I think England probably played better than anybody else.
Right.
In the match that against Croatia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's early days. I mean, I've only seen all the teams. Well, not just me. We've all only seen the teams once. Most of them anyway, just once. So it's very, very difficult to pick it out or try to pick it out at this particular stage. But I think England will be there or thereabouts at the end of it, Nathan.
What did you like about it?
Well, Croatia are always a good team. I think they're not as good as they were a couple of years ago, but they totally outplayed them. I mean, I'd say if it hadn't been for Modric, who's one of the great players, despite the fact that he really kept them together from getting a hiding. I mean, they were never going to win the match for them, but he got more of the ball probably than anybody else on the pitch in a team that wasn't playing well, Nathan. He stopped them from getting a hiding in that particular game.
What about Calvin Phillips? Because he's a midfielder I know you enjoy watching, and the fact he's a central midfielder for Leeds means you're always going to have a soft spot for him. The role he played last Sunday was very different from anything I've seen him do for Leeds.
Yeah, well, it seemed to be, I'm only going now on what I see in Southgate, that he told Rice to be the holding player and for Phillips to get ahead of the ball and go in an attacking position. Now, Phillips did extremely well, and he's a very talented lad, Nathan, you know. He's a good distributor of the ball, but this was a position that he doesn't normally play in. Like when he plays for Leeds, he's the holding, more or less, the holding midfield player. Yeah. And he's a very talented boy. I think he can do more for Leeds than he's actually asked to do at the moment. Now, playing for England, like he played in a position that he doesn't normally play in, and he played very, very well. But it's not something, actually, that I would agree with for what it's worth. I think when you're playing in midfield, there was Rice and himself. The two of them should be midfield players. One goes and the other holds. I don't believe in the designated holding midfield player. So I think Rice was the holding midfield player, and Phillips was encouraged to go forward a lot more than he normally does. Now, I think against Croatia, it was okay because they England dominated the game. and even with only one player in midfield was right. I think if and when they come against better teams, and they do that with Phillips, I think they'll struggle, Nathan. I think the opposition will dominate the middle of the field. So it worked on that in that particular day. Now that doesn't mean that Southgate is going to ask him to do it all the time, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do that all the time with Phillips. And I think somewhere along the way they'll be caught out doing it, Nathan. Right. That's what I think. But he played very, very well. Yeah. He's a very talented lad. I think maybe I said to you, might have said on the programme here, Nathan, that when he plays for Leeds, I'd like him to be doing more and looking for the ball more than he actually does, because he has the equipment to distribute the ball brilliantly. And I think he's not asked to do it at Leeds. I think what he does, he seems to be content, or the manager seems to be content with what he does. But I think with the ability he has, he can do a lot more.
It was interesting how Southgate set up with basically 5 who didn't go past the halfway line, where he had the 4 defenders, the fullbacks rarely got forward, which is maybe why he was never that keen on Alexander-Arnold in the first place, and he played Trippier ahead of Chilwell and Shaw at the left, so the fullbacks stayed back. As you said, Declan Rice, who I know you've been really impressed with this season on how he can bring the ball forward as a midfielder now and his range of passing, he never really got forward. That those 5 offer some protection, and then he just hopes that the other 5, the attacking players, can go and create some sort of magic. Do you think in tournament football that's actually something that can be successful?
I don't know whether it could be successful or not, Nathan, but I wouldn't agree with any of it, to be quite honest. You know, if you're playing as a team, there's opportunities for the left back or the right back or the centre back or wherever it might be at the right time in the game to go forward, Nathan. You know, you can't. In my opinion, and I played with a great Leeds team. I think we were never instructed in terms of, say, Terry Cooper at left back or Paul Rini, to not go at the right time.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't go at the right time, Nathan, then whoever's on the ball is going to be caught in trouble. That's the way it works. You know, when you're defending, everybody defends. When you're attacking, everybody defends at the right time. So I don't think you can pick a team. I don't know if Southgate did or not, to say, okay, that's my 5, you're not going to go forward. I'd be surprised if he did. It might have looked that way, but maybe he did. But I don't have a great deal of confidence in Southgate anyway. I mean, in my opinion, if he did that, it's total nonsense. Right? Total nonsense. See, I don't understand Southgate. I mean, he said after the match, and they well deserved to win, there's no doubt about that. But he said after the match, there was some argument, I believe, on the pitch between the goalkeeper and the centre-half about him kicking the ball long. And he was asked about that afterwards. And he said, we don't have as long to work on these patterns when you're playing like in the international team compared to the club team.
Yeah.
Now, I don't get that at all. I mean, he's had those players for 3 weeks, and I don't understand how you can practice a pattern. You know, I don't get it. I mean, in my experience playing football, if the fullback's on and they're international footballers, they do what's the right thing at that particular time. I don't think you can practice. I never tried it. I don't believe in it, that you can practice a pattern. In other words, if the fullback gets it, you come back here and you go forward there. I mean, that's what makes international players, that they do the right thing in relation to the ball. So I don't get it. And when I hear people talking like that, Nathan, I don't have confidence in them, to say the least. Now, that's my take on it. He said they won the match well. He picked Trippier at left back, which a lot of people weren't in agreement on. But if you win the match, everything is okay. But I don't understand when he's talking about football exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But he said, but he has a lot of good players, Nathan. There's no doubt. There's a few young lads coming into the team. I think they'll be there or thereabouts, despite what I say about Southgate.
They have the players to maybe get them through.
Yeah.
A lot of people, I think, felt that maybe France were the most impressive team. They were going up against Germany and scored a really good goal. Mbappe looked very dangerous at times. What's your first impression of France?
I thought they could have done better, Nathan. I think Germany have gone. You know, I think they're not what they were. I thought France were by far by far the better team. But I don't know. I thought they were lacking a bit somewhere. But only first match, Nathan, you know.
Yeah.
But I did expect more from them, to be quite honest, in the game. I thought they could have done a lot more, or taken a lot more out of Germany than they actually did. But again, it's the first game.
It was a beautiful ball from Pogba for the goal for France. He looks a different player with N'Golo Kante alongside him in midfield.
Well, he certainly does. I think he got man of the match. And I think, I've always said, he's a very hugely talented player, but he made an awful lot of mistakes. And Kante was by far, in my opinion, by far in the way. I don't know why Pogba would do without Kante. He does all the donkey work and more. I mean, it was a great ball, and he can produce great passes like that, Pogba. But there was an awful lot of times he gave the ball away as well, Nathan. I personally wouldn't have made a man of the match. I think Kante would have been man of the match, but that's...
Can you be more accepting of that, John, of Pogba trying things, of giving it away a bit more when you know you have that safety net of Kante there to pick up the pieces?
No. You can't play in a game, Nathan, where you say, well, I'll do this and that, the other, because Kante's going to do it. I mean, every individual has to do his own stuff. In other words, it's not good for Pogba to give him the ball away. You just don't. You're not supposed to give the ball away. And sometimes in the game, whether Kante is doing everything or he's not going to do it all the time, Nathan.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect him to do it. He shouldn't have to do it. Do you know what I mean? If Pogba's playing in the game and the reputation he has and the player he's supposed to be, he shouldn't be dependent on Kante to win the ball back for him. He shouldn't be giving the ball away in the first place. But he is capable of producing terrific passes, like the pass that he made for the lead up to the goal in Pogba's case. But there's other things he does, which in my opinion, world-class players don't do, which is giving the ball away easy, sometimes not chasing back the way he should be chasing back. There's lots of things about him that I find are not professional at all. But again, he is gifted, and he is able to produce those type of passes.
Just briefly before we finish, do you want to talk Wales or do you want to talk Cristiano Ronaldo?
Well, Ronaldo did what he does, Nathan, and he's amazing. Like in the match, he hardly got a kick of the ball, and he finishes up scoring 2 goals. Not for the first time. He's done it throughout his career, and it's his mentality that I find extraordinary. Because most players, if they're not in the game for 10, 15 minutes, you make it your business to get into the game. I think in Ronaldo's case, it doesn't bother him. And he finishes up over his career, Nathan, scoring 2 goals or 3 goals or whatever it might be, because of that mentality. But I've never seen a mentality like that in a top-class player ever before.
Yeah.
What was the other one, Nathan?
I just want to ask you about Wales and their performance, and Gareth Bale, who has taken a lot of stick this season in the last couple of seasons for his club performances, just saving it for his country.
Yeah, well, I don't know what his position was at Madrid. I mean, obviously he didn't get on with the manager there. I don't think Mourinho, when he came back, gave him a chance to give him a run, Nathan, to do what he can do. But certainly he changed the game for them the other night. I mean, it was a beautiful ball for the first goal, and then laid on the second goal with a great run. I know he missed a penalty, but he was definitely the match winner for Wales. Yeah. There's no doubt about that.